Mama's in Control, episode 216. We're talking money. So let's talk about something that nobody wants to talk about. Women and money. I coach women who want to live their best life. And oftentimes they come to me and they go, Heather, I just don't understand my children, or I cry myself to sleep, or I'm stressed out. I want more. I know I'm worthy of more. And not only that, sometimes these women make really good money, and yet they still feel like they don't have enough. If we go back in time, I mean, we all, part of what we're dealing with here is our identity as woman, mother, and who we are supposed to be, right? You give birth to guilt. You literally raise these children and feel guilty for taking a shower, feel guilty for eating breakfast, feel guilty for leaving the house. And we need to change this conversation because, as you and I both know, this language, this story that has been passed down through our lineage is not serving us. And on a side note, if you can hear my guys in the background, it's because it's early morning when I'm recording this, and they're around, they're here. So it goes back in our lineage of who we need to be as women. And, this doesn't need to become a history class, but how women used to be in society and our role. And the more and more awakened we become, and the more we say, I have desires, I have a voice, I want to make my own money. Not only that, maybe I'm not the money maker in the family, but I want to feel in control of our money. I want to know where it's going. I want to know what it's doing. I want to know that I am not stuck, that I have freedom. And a lot of this is emotional freedom, financial freedom. So how do we start this conversation? How do we shift it and how do we change it? Well, I'm a huge advocate of personal investment. We need to invest in ourselves to change the story in our mind and change our actions and our behavior. And this is how we change the world and we change our family. So before we jump into today's interview with Cheryl Fields, I want to let you know about a workshop I have coming up that I'm co-hosting with the amazing Lisa Peterson. You can learn more about Lisa, her work, who she is, and this workshop. So check it out at heatherchauvin.com/money. Uber affordable, guys. We're going to be talking about lack and transforming that into abundance. So this is going to be tangible, actionable, live. So we'll answer your questions live. Felix, do you want to say something?
Yeah.
What do you want to say? Say hello.
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 So this is what happens when you work from home, right? Right? Felix helps you out? Yeah. All right, guys, let's dive in. Let's talk to Cheryl Fields. She has an amazing story, and you're going to hear the power behind this woman and how we all have our journey through mess to success, and this one is really inspiring.
So I'm excited to talk about that question. But before, for the people that are listening going, hey, who is this miraculous woman that's showing up and talking about money, right? That's how I say when we say money, people are either, oh, I'm listening, or they just run away and hide.
Right.
So Cheryl Fields has been an entrepreneur for over 35 years. And some of that as a single mom, a former financial advisor, as she said. She now speaks across the country, sharing the truth about money and how it can work for us in our lives. In the last few months, she's been featured in Fox News, Huffington Post, highlighted in Go Banking, rates 5 million subscribers, has been a guest on over 50 radio shows, podcasts. Her holistic approach helps women get out of debt and have tax-free income in retirement without all the financial mumbo jumbo. You are a mother of 2, grandmother of 3, and you live in South Florida, where the sun is shining.
Yeah, it does.
So welcome. I'm so excited to have you here, Cheryl, and talk about this. One,
Thank
because
you.
of your backstory, but also, you know, in my line of work, I find a lot of the women, you know, we're in the thick of it, right? We're in the crazy years of,
Absolutely.
okay, what am I going, you know, I got to feed this child. I got to keep this child alive. Oh, now they have all these activities, you know,
Right.
post-secondary education. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Their health, like they're just so overwhelming. And a lot of times we're in reactive mode, right? I got to pay
So
this
much.
bill. I got to do this. I got to do that. But realizing we need to pull back the layers a little bit and start at the foundation. But to get people there, a lot of times it takes the breakdown to
Yeah.
have the breakthrough of creating that. So you can say, stop, reevaluate what's going on in your life and build it from that platform on. So can you just share a little bit about your backstory and how you've gotten to where you are today and why you're so empowered and excited to, why you're so passionate about empowering women about money?
Okay, sure, Heather. Yes. And of course, I mentioned earlier, but I love what you do. And I think what you're doing is such a powerful and important thing for women, really of all ages, but especially you're in your age group. And so I'm super excited to be here, and thanks for having me. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 35 years and maybe 30 years at that point or so, but anyway, 25. But anyway, so I had a business and I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I got in this bad relationship. I mean, it wasn't like, didn't start out bad, but it ended up bad. And, the thing was, this guy was well respected and he was known in the community and blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, so we did all the parties, we did all this, we did all that. We had quite the socialite life. But the whole thing was behind closed doors, things were getting worse and worse and worse. And my girls were in their mid-20s. They were living in the state of Maine. And so one day I get this phone call. And my kids are both on the phone crying, and they're like, Mom, we know you're in an abusive relationship and we know you're trying to hide it. And we understand, but we want you back because we're so afraid that we're going to get a call that says something really bad's happened to you. And you're unconscious or God forbid worse. And they said, we just can't live it. We can't bear it anymore. We can't deal with it. So we booked you a hotel room. We bought you a plane ticket on flight 646 that leaves Savannah tomorrow morning, and we want you on it. And I was like, whoa, that's a call you don't forget, right? So I said to myself, what am I going to do? Now, what am I going to do? And I thought about it for a minute, really, like it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. But I said, they're right, and I have to get out while I can. So I picked up what I could carry, stuffed in my purse, grabbed my dog's leash, and we went out the front door. And I went and sat on the park bench in Savannah, Georgia. There's a park there called Forsyth Park. And a lot of people might know the fountain's pretty famous right there. And that's where I was sitting on the bench where they filmed the movie Forrest Gump. And it was on that bench that Tom Hanks said, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And I felt like that was me right then. And I said, man, how did I get here? I'm this strong woman, I've raised my kids. I've always never been afraid of anything. And I've moved around the country and I've bought businesses and sold businesses. What's up with this? How did I get here? And honestly, Heather, I realized I got here a day at a time. Men that do this, and I've learned afterwards, of course, I didn't know that then, but it's been 12 years. They do it a day at a time and a little bit at a time. And you might not see it coming, and it might not even be what you're thinking is in your relationship, but things can change. And so anyways, there I was. And so I said, okay, well, now what are you going to do? Right. And I said, well, I know about business, but I don't know about money. So what I should do, I'm telling myself, Cheryl, what you should do is you should go become a financial advisor because they know about money. They always dress nice. They drive nice cars. They have nice clothes. They golf a lot. I'm like, I can do all that. So I went to school and I became a financial advisor, and I was hired by ING, global investment firm, right in the end of 2007, right? And in 2008, the market crashed and everything crashed. The stock market, the real estate market, the economy, people lost their jobs. People were losing their homes. Everything went into complete turmoil, but people were also losing all the money that they'd worked all their lives to save. And I heard people calling their clients, because luckily, thank God I didn't have any, but they were calling their clients.
Luckily, good thing I didn't have clients.
When
you hope and wish, you're like, oh, thank God.
I do. I tell people I'm the only one that didn't lose a client in 08. That's because I didn't have one. But so then I was there thinking, well, they were calling people and saying, like, don't buy that vacation home. Don't quit your job. I mean, and it was devastating. And then I started thinking, wait a second, I just got taught all of the best practices in this industry, and it's not working right now. I can see everybody losing everything. How could we be believing in a system that could let this happen? And so that started me on my whole new quest, which is I said, well, wait, what do wealthy people do? Because they don't do this, They always have time and money. They don't start over every time the stock market crashes or every time there's a dip in the economy. And not only do they spend lots of money while they're here, but they leave money to their kids, pass it on, leave a legacy. And I was like, I wasn't taught about any of that in financial school. So what I did is I just started interviewing wealthy people and finding out what they did. And so what I found out is when they started the IRS tax code 100 years ago, they have a way for people that want to pay taxes later and a way for people that don't want to pay tax again. The only time you have to pay tax on your money is when you earn it. After that, all of that money that you pay in taxes is money you don't have to pay. And so anyway, that's kind of what led me on my course. And now, of course, I'm so passionate about it. I help women especially, but with their families, helping them be sure their money never goes backwards. They don't have to be an expert in anything. They just have to trust in the system that's been there since the beginning of the IRS. So for 150 years. So it's just basically putting money in accounts where you don't have to worry about the stock market or the economy. You don't have to worry about if things go backwards. Your money's liquid for you. So it helps you get out of debt if you need that. Or if not, you can bank it, stack it up and have it tax-free for you in retirement, because that's really the key. So there's more. I do a webinar on that and kind of go deeper into exactly, because it might sound confusing, but it's so simple. It's not even funny. And so that's really what I began to do, and my whole life changed that afternoon. So it is the rock bottom that leads. I love what you said. You said it's the breakdown that leads through the breakthrough. I love that.
Yeah. You probably hear my dog now. So this is funny. So people, if they listen to the podcast, like a month ago, we have 2 dogs. We had to put our greyhound down. Oh. So then, of course, being the recovering rescuer that I am, my husband is gone for a week, and we go to the Humane Society and pick up this 1-year-old with 1-year-old half Dalmatian, half lab, who has severe anxiety, and he barks at everything. So we're in the process of this, but working from home is not conducive when you have a rescue dog that is either on my lap or yelling at the squirrels outside. So I'm like, people always know what's going on, but this is the real world. And this is what I love about your story, Cheryl, because there's so much. So when people talk about financial freedom, I believe they are talking about emotional freedom. Mm-hmm. Of your story and the emotional capacity that you have around money when you talk about it. Because I remember the first time, so things happen in your life. So part of my story is 4 years ago, I had cancer, and it was stage 4 cancer, and I had to stop working, right? So I couldn't work, and I was building my own business. And, I was doing what I love, but at the same time, we still had bills to pay. So as I'm getting chemo injected into my arm, I'm literally still working, and I didn't have the cushion. I didn't have any of this. And being a young person, I thought I could just go and burn myself out. I got years left on these tires. And the truth was, young, 3 children, married, whatever. That was my come to Jesus moment of money is important. And the first time I looked at a budget, I wanted to vomit, and I was and cry and all of this stuff. So I love when you say you don't need to know anything. So let's talk about that, where, people have this belief set or mindset around, I didn't grow up with money, or I don't know what I'm doing. I went to school. We weren't taught this stuff. What do you say to that woman who's listening? Oh, my husband handles the money. Let's deal with that one.
Well, one of my favorite things to say is, ladies, a man is not a financial plan. Okay. So we have to be like Maya Angelou said, you need to have enough money that you can, if you're in a situation, you can get out of it if you need to. You need to have enough money that you don't worry and stress. You're right. It's so emotional, right? Money is just emotional. And the reason I think on the negative side is because what I teach people is that we've been led to believe a lie about the 401ks and all this stuff about tax deferred accounts. And the way that we know that is because the people retiring now, their number 2 fear is dying. Their number 1 fear is running out of money. So I say to young people like you guys, forget what your parents did. Forget what you think you don't know. It's a brand new world. Today is a brand new day. And you don't have to know anything. Think about what happens. They keep everything so confusing that you have to go to them to ask them what it means. I talk to people all the time who have no idea what's going on in a mutual fund or no idea what's going on in a 401k or any other of the pension funds that you have in Canada. They have no idea. They get a statement. I ask them, bring me your statement. They bring me 10 of them and they haven't opened them. And I'm like, they say, I don't understand them. Why do I need to open them? And I'm like, I get that. So it doesn't have to be that way. The world has changed, right? But some things remain the same. And what remains the same is that money, our word currency comes from like a river to flow, the Latin word, right? Our money needs to flow. We've been led to believe this lack thinking of, oh my God, you have to put it away. You can't spend it today because you won't have it tomorrow. I love what T. Harv Eker says. He says, when you save your money for a rainy day, if you believe in, that you attract what you think about, all you get is rainy days, right? So we don't want to do that. Our money is designed for us to be able to use it. And that way we all benefit. If you're spending money and I'm spending money and other people and they're spending money and everybody's using the money that they have, the world becomes a better place. So we've really been led to believe it's just this nasty and scary topic, which I get that, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I tell people, just look at new ways of doing things, and also use Warren Buffett's guide, which he says the 2 rules of investing. He says, rule number 1, never let your money go backwards. And rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. So that's the key. No risk. Just let your money grow. And you can do that when you structure it right in accounts that never go backwards. So that's the important thing. And it needs to be liquid. In this country, we have a thing, the IRA and 401k, you can't use it till you're 59 and a half. Well, what the hell? You have 3 kids. They want to go to soccer camp. They want to go on a trip. As they get older, there's going to be like the summer in Italy and stuff, that's not free. So you're right. You have to plan for things, but also your money needs to be liquid. And so you don't have to blow up your retirement to live your life today.
I love this. So there's multiple things that are coming up for me just based on the community that I attract. So I attract a lot of women who are in this transition of, maybe they have their corporate gig, or they're a stay-at-home mom, or they are a small business owner, and they're like, my only stream of income is, what I bring in, realizing you can utilize your money to grow, to bring in more money or grow that. And that's what I'm hearing you say. So again, you got to jump into new territory that you are like, I don't know this, but Cheryl seems like she knows what she's talking about. So I'm going to go follow her and learn from her, because it comes from a place of like love and abundance and all of that. But I want to talk to you about debt. So
great topic.
Because a lot of people, especially when you're investing in yourself, I'm assuming, Cheryl, like you did not get here by yourself, by sitting on that, it wasn't by sitting on that bench going, I need to create change in my life. You invested in yourself because you went back to school. But then when you were like, not this, now what? Yeah. Now what do I do? You have to keep reinvesting in yourself. And so a lot of the women that I struggle with, like, I don't have the money for this, Heather. I can't invest. I can't grow. And so I'm curious about your perspective of debt, because everyone has so much debt, which to me is just lack mindset. And we need to shift that and grow that. But is debt really bad when you're using it to reinvest in yourself to plan a better future for you and your family?
No, of course, not at all. But what I'd like to say about debt is what happens is when we try to put our money off to the side and we're saving money that we can't really use if we're trying to do that, that's what causes us to have this lack mentality. So we think, oh my God, I have to do that. I have to do this, but you don't. So the whole thing is, no, I definitely believe I've invested so much money in myself. I mean, I spent a lot, right? And it's an investment, but the whole thing is debt is a thing that really will take people out. And so what we offer, we have programs where you can actually get out of debt in record time, like instead of 15 or 20 years, 3 or 4 years. And then we say, look, you were making those payments anyways, now make them to yourself. And we can actually help people actually have money for their business, have money for the things that they want, whether it's to get out of their corporate gig or move up and get the training that they need or whatever. Stay at home moms to actually do something that they're loving to do. But I think investing in yourself, it gives you a whole new perspective, because what happens is I believe that when you get in that kind of in that rut of this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is. And I always say, now what? And you say, not this. Yeah. And
I took that from Elizabeth Gilbert.
That's right.
She wrote this post about not this. And every time I share it, whether it's in an email, I'm like, or, on the podcast, women are like, yes, because sometimes asking now what, or what do I need now? There's like this big blank stare, and people always know what they don't want. But if you ask them, what do you want? The response is, I don't know, but they know what they don't want.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I love what Esther Hicks says. She says, you have to live in a house with small closets to know that you want to live in a house with big ones.
Yeah.
That's so true. So really it is about investing in yourself, because really this is the, I remember when I was young, my mom used to say, what do you think, the world revolves around you? And I would always say, no, Mom, it doesn't. But I actually found out, no, it does. Because from where we're standing, everything that we see in our life is based on the 2 square feet of this planet that we take up at any one time, right? So as we turn around, it does revolve around us. Our life, we are the centers of our lives. And so the more that we can learn and grow and be the best that we can be, the more opportunities actually show up for us, and the more ideas that we have about what we might want or not want. If you think you can't do something, or you think, oh, I don't have enough money to do anything, what do you want to do? And you think, well, I can't do anything. Well, that's just because you haven't had the opportunity or the possibility to think, well, wait a second, if I knew my money was always growing and it was always going to be there for me, what would I do? That's a much better question, right? Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't happen overnight, but debt is a big problem. And I know in the States, they say that people are living on 27 cents out of every dollar that they earn. And that's because we spend like 29% of our money on interest. And that's just interest on credit cards and cars and orthodontic payments and, student loan debts and whatever, our house. And then we spend 39% of our money on taxes. And it's not just income tax. It's sales tax, property tax, tax at the gas pump, tax when you buy a handbag, tax when you go to the grocery store. And so, we don't look at that, but all that money's slipping through our fingers. We just want to bring that money back, because we would have a lot more money if it wasn't slipping through our fingers. But the way it's designed, the system is designed, and I'm not a conspiracy person. I'm just taking this from a purely financial a point of view. We don't need to be paying people all of this money to try to help us get ahead, because we're not getting ahead. And the way that that is because this generation that's retiring now is not in the position that they want to be in. So we need to say what has been working for 100 years and make sure that we do that instead of what's not working. Because this whole new Wall Street tax deferred thing's only been for the last 35 years.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to watch, because my parents and their generation are the generation that are retiring, and to observe and watch the scarcity mindset of not having enough. Mm-hmm. And I remember jumping into, okay, so a lot of people don't want to leave corporation or work for themselves because they say pension or benefits. And I laugh because I'm like, what your paycheck is. You can't grow it. You can't scale it unless you most likely go back to school to get another certification in 4 years, yada, yada. And so you're stuck in this system. And it just blows my mind when people are like, I am not willing to budge because I will lose my pension. And I'm like, pension? I'm going to, by the time I retire, I'm going to need more money monthly for what I'm getting for my pension, because I'm going to be traveling the world or swinging, like,
Yeah.
jumping out of airplanes or something. Who knows what's going to
Right.
happen? But I believe that the human experience is to grow and evolve and shift. So who
Exactly.
I am today compared to who I'm going to be 30 years from now, my pension is going to need to be tenfold in order
Yeah.
to experience, not considering inflation and stuff like that. So
No, you're absolutely right, Heather. And people don't think about that. They just think, oh yeah, well, they think the bigger pile of money that they can get, they'll be okay. And it's absolutely not true. It's
so
absolutely
this is interesting. So having this mindset growing up, I've always wanted more, right?
mm-hmm.
And I was told you're selfish. You're a very selfish person, Heather. And so now my mission is to debunk this because it manifests into parenting, and we are raising children when we're completely exhausted and deprived and stressed out. And then we're wondering, I'm yelling and screaming and doing all of this, and it's affecting who they are and how they become. It's the same mental mentality when you're thinking about money. So, I was looking at these people who were telling me that I was selfish, and I was like, it's interesting because I have more time and patience to be present with my children. So it's kind of like, those people just projecting that. And I understand that, but selfishness is it's a narcissistic concept. And most of the people that are like, am I being selfish? Like, that's the least of your worries. So why is it that women especially are like, I'm selfish if I have more money? Because you're going to grow, you're going to give back, you can give to charity, you can make a bigger difference in the world. And it is essentially an emotional thing and a money mindset and limiting beliefs. And I'm really encouraging people, if you're listening or watching to this and it's making you uncomfortable to listen to this conversation, then that's exactly where you need to go, because it's just an evolution of growth. So can you talk a little bit about selfishness and money? And yeah.
Sure. So if you look at it from an energetic perspective, and not on the woo-woo side of things, but if you look at it as an energetic thing, back in the day, like let's say if you made tents and I had goats and somebody needed a pair of shoes, well, we could trade a goat for a pair of shoes. A goat for a tent and make shoes out of it. Our world doesn't work like that now. Our world works off of money. And so we don't want money for money's sake. We want money for what it can do for us and for our lives and for our families. So absolutely, when, you got told you were selfish, I always got told, sit down, you should be seen and not heard. And that's why I decided to become a speaker in my later life, because I was like, no, that's not right. That's not right at all. And so we've just been, told these things. Look at how the world has exponentially changed. I can see it in my years here on the planet, but you guys are coming in at a time when electronics and all that has been always how it is. But the difference is that things used to change. What used to take 50 years to evolve in a way of, I'm talking about human evolution, now takes 50 days or 50 minutes. And so we are operating at the speed of light as a society. And so I just think that absolutely we have to think about, it's not being selfish at all. I believe that we're all here to help other people learn and grow. So basically everybody we meet or everybody we talk to, we're either learning from them or to have something to teach to them. And, and we just take that as, that's how nature's designed. You think about it. You don't see half of an elephant anywhere, walking around. You don't see half a tree or half a lake. Everything's whole in nature. Well, money is the same thing. Money is just energy, right? And so when you, our word currency comes from the Latin word from a river to flow, like current, like a current, right? So our money needs to flow. The lack thinking comes from, oh, I've got to take this little pile of money and push it over here and save it for when I need it. Or I don't know what the thinking is. That's so far gone from my head, I can't even bring it back. But the whole thing is, that's what we think about. That's why we have the lack, because we don't have enough to save later and we don't have enough to spend now. And it doesn't have to be that way. Our money, I always say, grass doesn't strain to grow, and neither should our money. Our money should just grow. If you look even, whether you're, religious or not, but if you look even into the biblical time, they said, your money, Jesus said, something about the talents, and the servant that buried their talents and didn't go do something with it, he called them wicked. And it's like, that's how we've kind of been taught, is that's the scarcity mentality. And, it's not necessarily a religious thing, but if you look at the great teachers, nobody ever said, ferret away all your money and don't ever spend a penny. It's just not how it works.
I love when I'm reflecting on nature and how something is restrictive in my body. So when I'm overwhelmed, when I feel like anxious chronically, or something's just off, that's why they say spend time with nature. But when I'm really looking, I'm like, that tree is constantly growing. It doesn't just stay put. Some trees grow rapidly. Some take a really long time to grow. Some grow big roots, some grow deep, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, we're trees. We are natural. We are nature. We all end up as dust. And everything alive can be burnt into like dust, right? And so and the mind, it just blows my mind. So when, you get very woo-woo and like thinking about it, it's like, this is a natural part of our human existence. So Cheryl, I want to switch the conversation to how people can connect with you. So a woman is listening to this and she's like, oh God, I am so lost. I have no idea where to start. What's her first step? And what do you like, who ideally do you work with?
Well, I work with people all across the country, and basically at all different levels. So some people,
do they have to be American?
Not
just because of the tax laws and stuff.
Because of the tax laws, yes, in this country anyway, but I can still, internationally, I have programs that I'm starting up in 2018 that I can help people learn the concepts, and it applies anywhere that you are. So yeah, actually to implement the programs here, I'm licensed in the US, but I can help anybody learn what they need to learn to be able to do this for themselves. So absolutely. I offer a book. It's a free ebook, and I thought maybe that would be something that your listeners might really like to have. And so my company name is called Lifestyle Wealth Group. So lifestylewealthgroup.com. And if you could do /report, I wrote an ebook called The Wealth Report, and it's an acronym for the why, the education or the miseducation, the attitude or, our mindset. The L is for leverage, right? That's the difference. We need to be able to leverage our money. That way it never goes backwards. The T is for time. You guys are young. You have your whole life to let it grow. That will put you in absolutely fabulous position now and in the future. And then the H is for health. So financial health, making sure that we understand how we keep it healthy so that, like in nature, right? We're either growing or dying. So we need to make sure that we're always growing our money and making sure that it's always going forward. So I'd love to offer that to your viewers or your followers if you'd like to. So that's at lifestylewealthgroup.com /report. And then also if they want to connect with me on my website, it's the same name. I'm glad to let them know when we start up the next program. And we offer all kinds of things that are free of charge, just helping you to get going, helping you to understand the principles and realizing that a lot of what we've been told isn't true. So what I want to say really honestly to anybody out there, if this is triggering you or you're thinking it's one or the other, if you're thinking, oh my God, this is this is crazy, this is driving me crazy, or they're thinking this doesn't really matter, but you have the rest of your life to be able to experience and enjoy life. And sad but true, it takes money. So the whole thing is, if we can have the money there for you to do the things you want to do, experience life with your family, be able to live your dreams in the way that you want to live them. It's not all about the money. It's not, don't feel guilty about amassing this big pile of money, because actually it's not designed for that either. You're not designed to be broke, and you're not designed to hoard. You're designed to actually let the money flow and let it be and help you be everything that you can be, so that, again, like you said, you can pass it on to your kids and you can do the things that you want, have the adventures, give to the charities, take some time off and maybe go do something like 2 weeks in another country or whatever. I used to take kids to Mexico and work in an orphanage, but it's not free. And so money is not everything, but money lets you do the stuff in life that will let you, being a part of your program, learning the things that you need to learn to help you have better relationships with your kids and yourself. And so it's just about having the ability to do the things you want to do in life.
And I see it from a bigger perspective of, I think it's selfish not to do those things.
Absolutely.
Because when you're able to become a better version of yourself, one, you're educating others, just like you're educating me and the listeners. But yeah, that's the legacy that you're leaving. And guys, the world needs more love, more consciousness in it. So it's like the most selfless thing you will ever do is to
Absolutely.
educate yourself. And, like you said, money is currency, money is energy. And the more we allow that to flow, we're affecting change in the world. And, hopefully the impact of someone listening to this is they want to leave it better than they found it. And so to make a difference is just start with you. And so your website is lifestylewealthgroup.com.
That's right. Lifestylewealthgroup.com. And they can connect with me there, or there's a place you can get the wealth report. And if anybody's got specific questions, I'm glad to answer them. I'm glad to help. So thank you so much for having me today. It's been amazing to meet you.
I love this. This has been amazing and very educational. So thank you, Cheryl, for being here, and everybody for listening.
All right, guys, so you heard it there. So you can check out Cheryl's website at lifestylewealthgroup.com. Personally email her at Cheryl, Cheryl at lifestylewealthgroup.com if you have any questions for her. Wealth of information. And more importantly than that, I truly am inspired by her story, because a lot of times as women, we think, they have it easy, or, they grew up with money, or, it was given to them. As you can see, she had to start from nothing and earn her way to the top and take action on a daily basis. So I hope you were inspired by that. If you yourself are, 2018, one of your goals is to just stop sweating about money, and you're so ready to get out of your own way, then I suggest you sign up for the Energy of Money workshop. Head on over to heatherchauvin.com/money and check it out. Like I said earlier, I've made it really affordable for the ROI, the return on your investment. You're going to be able to personally hand in your cues and get them answered, and also maybe some live coaching. Lisa is an amazing, amazing entrepreneur, author, businesswoman who is really kick-ass at investments as well. And she told me the other day, she's actually never been in debt, which is amazing. So she's somebody I look up to when it comes to how can I build an empire while still being of integrity to myself and my family and not burning myself out. And so her intuition and how she shows up with money, with wealth, with mindset is magic. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/money.